What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got our Week 5 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup, so make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Today's video is brought to you guys by Birddogs. And look, I know we're all searching for that perfect pair of shorts or pants that offers the best style, the best comfort, the best bang for your buck. Well, guess what? That search is over because Birddogs offers all of that and so much more. If you're looking for shorts, they have a ton of options with activewear, casual wear, or even beachwear. On top of that, their pants have a selection of khakis, joggers, and sweatpants. So what are you waiting for? Regardless of the occasion of the season, get yourself the most stylish, the most comfortable pair of pants with a built-in liner from Birddogs.com. And if you use promo code ADP today, you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Again, that's Birddogs.com, code ADP, and you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Make sure to check out Birddogs.com, link in the description. And we kick off Week 5 with the Colts at the Broncos on Thursday night. Now, by all accounts, these have probably been two of the more disappointing teams to kick off the season. However, this is still an intriguing matchup from the perspective of the running back position, which is what we're covering here. And the reason for that is because both these teams sustained injuries to their starting running backs. Jonathan Taylor, the 101 pick in drafts this season, he's hurt. Javonte Williams, a breakout candidate, a second-round selection, he's hurt. We'll see how long those injuries last, but nobody expects those guys to play in Week 5. So that means the backups are stepping up here. For the Colts, it's Nyheim Hines. Yes, I understand that a lot of people are going to be pumping up guys like Deion Jackson and Mike Boone for the Colts and Broncos, respectively, on the waiver wire this week. And I'm not saying don't go after them, but let's see what this offense looks like first before immediately inserting these backups. The reason that I say that is because there are guys ahead of them. In this case, Nyheim Hines. Sure, he won't get 20 carries a game, but I do think he's probably going to see 10 to 12 carries now, and then his usual involvement as a pass catcher. I think he's an Austin Ekeler light type of running back, especially without Jonathan Taylor. So what can you expect from him? Well, this week I'd have him as a low-end running back, primarily in PPR formats. For the Broncos, Melvin Gordon. Again, he didn't get much usage, and people are going to focus on Mike Boone, but Gordon was also a little bit banged up. However, look, they brought him back for a reason. He was getting almost 50-50 type of work with Javonte Williams. He's the clear-cut number 2 guy on this team. I'm not going crazy after Mike Boone. I'm starting Melvin Gordon, and I have him as a low to mid-level running back 2 on the week. Then Giants at the Packers. For the Giants, you start Saquon Barkley. He's been a stud so far to kick off the season. He is the offense for the New York Giants. And for the Packers, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, both these guys are getting 15-plus carries a game, both very viable. I continue to say Aaron Jones is my preferred option. I think he has the higher upside, especially in PPR formats. And so far, the performances would back that up. To me, Aaron Jones, especially in this game, the Giants don't scare me all that much, is a high-end RB2. A.J. Dillon, more so in standard formats, a low-end RB2. Then Lions at the Patriots. Boy, oh boy, here. We've got another potential injury to keep up with. This one from another week prior. DeAndre Swift didn't play versus the Seahawks. Jamal Williams had a huge performance. Now, I would temper my expectations if Swift doesn't play here. I do think the Patriots are going to be a little bit of a tougher game compared to that of the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think the Lions are going to put up almost 50 points here. So, I still have Jamal Williams as a solid mid to high-end running back 2. But again, just temper those expectations a little bit. And then even if DeAndre Swift somehow does play, I'd still start Jamal Williams, honestly, because I think DeAndre Swift is going to be in a snap count. And if he does play, which I think, again, is a long shot, I'd have both these guys as low-end RB2s. For the Patriots, this is a great matchup for them. The Lions, while they might be the best team technically on paper, offensively, they are dead last in defense, which means Dameon Harris and Ramondre Stevenson should have awesome opportunities here. Not only because of the matchup, but also because of the quarterback situation in New England. Brian Hoyer was taken over from Mac Jones to his injury. He gets hurt. You got third-string quarterback in New England. This is going to be a run-focused offense until Mac Jones returns. Even then, at that point in time, with a matchup like this, I think Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are both high-end running back twos on the week. And then I'd sit Craig Reynolds. I mean, you saw what the Lions did. They almost put up 50 points. Some people were getting cute with Craig Reynolds as a flex running back. No, he just didn't get the usage. No, thank you. He is a sit. Then Chargers at the Browns. This one's pretty easy. Austin Ekeler, you start him. And I told you folks, be patient with Austin Ekeler. Last week was that premier matchup for him. He delivered big time. And again, I think he's got another favorable game here versus the Browns. In PPR formats, I have him as a top 5 guy. For the Browns, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Chubb has been great to kick off the season. And, in standard formats, he is a top 5 guy. Hell, even in PPR formats, he's playing like that. He's been one of the most consistent guys at the running back position, which has been awesome. And then Kareem Hunt is that, flex guy in PPR formats that you hopefully gets you around 10 points. So that puts him kind of in the running back, high-end running back 3 category. Moving on, Texans at the Jaguars. We'll start the top 2 names here. Dameon Pierce, who had a really nice performance. And while Rex Burkhead did have a touchdown, didn't have any usage as a rusher, wouldn't go chasing the points there. I'm sitting him. Also sitting Travis Etienne, basically sitting the backups here. Etienne has been one of our biggest misses so far this season. We are not afraid to admit that. James Robinson has played like he didn't even suffer an Achilles injury. I do think the Jaguars here are going to bounce back from their performance last week, and they're going to get back to running the football a little bit more successfully. The Texans don't scare me, so James Robinson, I think, should be a decent, low-end running back too. Afterwards, Falcons at the Bucs. I'm only interested in starting Leonard Fournette. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't get too cute with Rachaad White. Sure, I know that he had a touchdown, but guys, he's still the backup. Leonard Fournette is the dude. And even though he didn't have really any success on the ground last week, the Falcons are not the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bucs are not going to be playing from behind. They should dominate this game, and I think Leonard Fournette here is set up for his best game of the season. So I really like him. I think he's a low-end RB1, top 10 guy on the week. And then for the Falcons, there's injuries, there's a lot of names, and there's a horrible matchup versus the Bucs. I'm sitting all 3 guys here: Cordero, Algier, and Caleb Huntley. Patterson's banged up. The other guys, getting similar type of usage. It's just not a good matchup here. Just do yourself a favor. They're all big risks. Sit them all. Afterwards, Steelers at the Bills. I'll start Najee Harris, and I'll start Devin Singletary. Najee Harris, though, he's really been limited by the ineptitude of the Steelers' offense. It was something that we pointed out as a concern. People were saying, oh, yeah, the Steelers' offense is going to get an immediate upgrade without Big Ben now that he's retired. That's not the case. We tried to tell you Mitch Trubisky is not a good quarterback. Kenny Pickett, not ready quite yet. This ain't the matchup, that you want versus a high-octane Bills offense. This is going to be tough. So even though I do have Najee Harris as a start, I don't see him in the RB1 category. I have him as a low-end RB2. He's going to be touchdown dependent here, folks. For the Bills, Devin Singletary, wouldn't be surprised if he does better than Najee Harris here. I have him as a low to mid-level running back too, especially if the Bills start running away with this game. Singletary could see more usage on the ground. Then Dolphins at the Jets. I'll start Raheem Mostert, but only in standard formats. And again, if you're desperate here, the main reason I'm doing so is because of the opponent, the Jets. If it was another opponent, a semi-competent team, I'd be sitting these guys both because I don't think the game script is going to be a favorable one. We still don't know what's going to happen with Tua. That's another question mark in there. Is it going to be Bridgewater at quarterback? More than likely, that's going to be the case. But again, it's a situation where I'm just going with Raheem Mostert because of the matchup. The Jets, Breece Hall, maybe we've gotten to that point in time where he has become the starter. If last week was any indication, he got the usage big time over Michael Carter as a rusher. He's still being involved as a pass catcher. He's definitely the guy you'd prefer to start in this game. I have him as a low-end RB2, and then I'm sitting Chase Edmonds and Michael Carter, the backups at this point in time in my eyes. Then we go to the Bears at the Vikings. If David Montgomery plays, you start him. He is the only fantasy viable option on this Bears offense. I've been saying that for a while. If he does play, I have him as a mid-level running back 2. And if he doesn't, Khalil Herbert, similar type of situation. If Montgomery plays, you sit Khalil Herbert. For the Vikings, Dalvin Cook. I think he should have some success here versus the Chicago Bears. Don't get cute. Don't start Alexander Mattison. Other than one touchdown catch, he didn't really do too much for the Vikings this last week. He's just a handcuff for Dalvin Cook. That's pretty much it. Dalvin Cook should have a good game here versus the Lonely Bears. He is a low-end RB1. Then Titans at the Commanders. You start Derrick Henry. That's the easy one in standard formats. He is an RB1 for sure, especially in this game versus a bad Commanders team all around. For Washington, do you take the chance on Antonio Gibson? That's the question. I think you play it. I said it last week, matchup by matchup. The Titans don't necessarily scare me all that much, so I'll give Antonio Gibson a chance, but he's a boomer bust guy that, if he doesn't find the end zone, is kind of, a high-end RB3. And then McKissick, I don't want to invest too much in this Washington offense to begin with, so I'm passing on McKissick. Afterwards, Seahawks at the Saints. Rashaad Penny finally had that huge game. But again, it took a little bit, and it wasn't really until the fourth quarter, but it did come. However, the Seahawks needed to score 50 points pretty much, so I don't think he's going to have a repeat performance here. The Saints, they are struggling a little bit. I think Rashaad Penny is still a low-end RB2. I don't see every single game playing out the way that it did last week versus the worst defensive team in the NFL in the Detroit Lions. So maybe if somebody's trying to come after Rashaad Penny, might be a good opportunity to sell high on him. For the Saints, if Alvin Kamara plays, I think he's a great start. But again, what's that rib injury looking like after being a surprise inactive in London? We don't know. If Kamara plays, I think he can be a mid-level, high-end running back 2 in PPR formats. If not, don't get cute with Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray. They're both on the older side, in their 30s. They're probably going to split carries. The Saints offense is tough to predict. I'd rather sit both of them. They're going to be touchdown dependent. Then we go to the 49ers at the Panthers. I'll start Jeff Wilson. At the time of the recording, the 49ers are still yet to play, but unless there's an injury or something like that, Jeff Wilson is the guy. The Panthers don't scare me one bit. For Carolina, Christian McCaffrey, it's a tough game for him here versus the 49ers, but what he does as a pass catcher raises his floor. To me, he is a low-end RB1 in PPR formats. Jeff Wilson probably in the mid to high-end running back 2 category. Then Eagles at the Cardinals. I'll start the top 2 guys here, Miles Sanders and James Conner. I am a little bit worried about James Conner, primarily because, if the Cardinals fall behind, well, he's not going to get the utilization as a rusher. But again, some pass catching ability there is saving him. I think he's a low-end RB2. Miles Sanders is the preferred start to me here. The Cardinals, they don't scare me one bit. It's a good thing they played the Panthers this last week. Otherwise, they probably would have lost. I think Sanders is a mid-level running back 2. And then I wouldn't get too cute with the backups in Gainwell or Benjamin. Then Cowboys at the Rams. I really only want to start Ezekiel Elliott. He hasn't had too much success, but again, I continue to say a lot of that is due to Dak Prescott not being available. Sure, the Cowboys have gotten wins, but offensively, they aren't putting up too many points. They don't have the same upside offensively, and that's hurting Zeke. So right now, he's a low-end RB2, especially here versus the Rams. I wouldn't get too cute with Pollard. Again, the rushing attack right now, not too ideal for the Cowboys for fantasy purposes. And then for LA, I'm sitting both Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Again, they have yet to play, but I think it's a running back by committee. The Cowboys' defense has been pretty good. I'm not forcing anything here just for the sake of finding somebody to start. Then Bengals at the Ravens. I'll start the top 2 guys, Joe Mixon and J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins had a really nice performance on the ground. Makes sense when you look at the weather conditions there. Joe Mixon finally found the end zone. He's getting the usage. It'll come. He just probably more so has to be looked at as a low-end RB1, high-end running back 2. Then Raiders at the Chiefs. You start Josh Jacobs. He's coming off a monster game. Again, I don't think that he's going to duplicate it here, especially versus the Chiefs, because there's a good chance the Raiders have to play from behind. But Jacobs, to me, is a mid-level running back. 2 for Kansas City, CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's the start here. He probably won't get as many carries as he did this last week on a week-to-week basis. But it's a situation where he's had a lot of touchdown success. The Chiefs are very good offensively. They're giving him the ball in the end zone, and that's translated to a lot of success. He's been very, very efficient. So you continue to ride that hot streak. I still think he's a good sell-high candidate, but again, this Raiders defense doesn't scare me, so I do think CEH is a solid mid to high-end running back 2 on the week. But with that, we wrap up our Week 5 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We'll do our best to answer them all. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.